Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and the BMW X3 is arguably one of BMW's most important and vital models in their entire lineup. For so many years, it was the 3 Series. But let's be honest, with the buying habits of modern shoppers here in 2026, this is what sells, the compact crossover. Yes, the 3 Series is still fantastic to drive, fantastic to look at, and one of my favorite cars on the road. But more people want to have it be a little bit easier to get in and out of. They like having some extra space, and they like this, the compact crossover. So the BMW X3 has been selling very, very well for BMW ever since it was launched way back in the 2000s. And for the 2025 model year, it is entirely new. The one you're looking at right here, the M50 model, which is a little confusing because on the back here it just says M50, but on the window sticker it's actually M50i, so you'll kind of hear that interchangeably depending on who you're talking to. You're seeing it in a frozen deep gray color. Costs about $3,600 to get it wrapped in this color. It's also a little bit dirty because I have been living with the car for the last week. As you're seeing it right here, about $77,000, but if you do without that frozen gray, some of the other styling bits here on this M Sport model, you can get it a bit closer to 70. And then if you go with the still fantastic turbocharged inline 4 engine option as opposed to this inline 6, then you can get it closer to $60,000, which gets pretty darn reasonable for this SUV. So today we're going to go over the pros and cons, my pros and cons specifically, as I've been spending time with this updated X3. There's a good bit to talk about, so why don't we just dive right on in. But before we do, I should mention that we have a few extra videos on this if you do want to see them. We have not only one but 2 dedicated reviews on the Harman Kardon sound system. That's because I first got the opportunity to drive this redone X3 back in South Carolina probably almost 2 years ago at this point when it was first launched, and I reviewed the sound system then. I wasn't a big fan, so I wanted to get the vehicle back and try it again. So if you do want to see our full thoughts on that, check the link below. Spoiler alert, I am not impressed. And then we also did a dedicated highway fuel economy test for this one where I was impressed. It did particularly well. So check the links below if you want to see those. Also, let's give a shout out to the video sponsor, LazFit. We've got this vehicle filled with LazFit floor mats, just like we do for many of our test vehicles. And it makes it so that as I'm living with the X3 here and I'm doing things like loading Eve's strollers in the back that are dirty from rolling around on the ground or anything, these all-weather heavy-duty floor mats help keep the carpets clean. Now, we live in a particularly clean climate here in Southern California, but if you live somewhere where you get a lot of snow, a lot of slush, a lot of rain, anything that's getting your shoes dirty, maybe you just go to a lot of job sites or something, you're gonna want some sort of heavy-duty liner. And for less than $200 to fill this car out, pretty darn good here from LazFit. They're 3D measured, laser cut, all the good stuff up and over the hump. You can see how well they go underneath the seats. They've got this nice tray style. Same thing up here in the front, fit in there nicely, go up underneath the pedals, the dead pedal, etc. We've been really happy with LazFit mats in all of our test vehicles, and I think you would be happy with them in yours as well. So whether you have an X3 or pretty much any other car, check the link below, get yourself some LazFit mats, use the code DailyMotor for 18% off, help support the channel. Thank you to LazFit. Now, in general, most of the pros can be categorized as driving, and most of the cons for the new X3 can be categorized as static. However, I will start off my pros with the technology suite in here. Now, when I reviewed the Tesla Model Y, I essentially said in that review that just about any other car I ever review should get a con for technology. But I will say that BMW's iDrive here, now in iteration 9, is one of the best infotainment systems on the market here outside of Tesla. It's very responsive, it's fairly intuitive. There is a bit of a learning curve. You gotta get comfortable, especially if you're coming out of something like a first or second generation X3, or even the last one coming out of iDrive 8 or anything. You're gonna have to learn sort of how the system works, but once you do, there's a lot you can do with it. It's very strong, and there are a lot of shortcuts. It's a pretty nice system to use, all things considered. A lot you can do with it: wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, You can also control everything from this rotary knob. I really appreciate that BMW has kept the rotary knob here for 2020. I guess this is a 25 model year, but we're well into 2026 at this point. Very compact, very quick buttons for getting around things, and this rotary knob still feels nice compared to the $150,000 Cadillac Escalade we used recently. That knob felt like something at a Fisher Price compared to this one. Now I will say the click is a little bit more difficult than the previous cars. Some of the interactions don't feel quite as nice as some of the previous gen BMWs, but all things considered, it's still a very nice tech suite. I appreciate that it's in here. And then on top of that, a little bonus pro is that we do have a built-in dash cam here for the X3. So you can get exterior camera recording, parking recording, and this one optionally even has an interior camera in it. I don't know, maybe if you're using this for rideshare or something, I'm not quite sure why you'd want the interior camera. I don't think you're exactly taking video calls with it. Let's see. Oh, only available with the BMW ID. Okay, I'm not logged into this car. It's a test vehicle. So, but that does exist. And I've always, ever since we owned a Tesla, I've always thought, why don't more cars have dash cams built into them? So I'm glad that BMW does here with the X3. Next pro, there's a specialness to both the interior and the exterior of this car that is getting a little bit more fleeting here in today's day and age. And it doesn't mean that just because you purchase a quote-unquote luxury vehicle, it's gonna feel cool and unique. We've been reviewing a lot of Lexuses lately, even like the TX that costs a good bit more than this. You kind of get in, you're like, all right, I kind of feel like I'm just in a fancy Toyota. Whereas this, between the coloring of the interior, the way everything's laid out, the cool glass center rotary knob here, the design, both inside and out. I will say this frozen paint's a bit pricey, but it does add to that wow factor as well. My wife Alyssa, when she first saw this in the driveway, she said, that's a beautiful car. I think the styling is a bit subjective, but it is hard to argue that this doesn't still establish itself quite firmly in the luxury category. No one's gonna look at the X3 and go, is that a Kia or something like that? No, this is very clearly a BMW. And so I do appreciate that there is still kind of that specialness to this car. And if you're paying for it, I'm glad you get it. Getting behind the wheel here of the X3 and bringing to life, I must not have my foot on the brake enough. Arguably our favorite powertrain here in the year of our Lord 2026, the BMW B58 inline 6. This engine in this form right here, in the car we're driving, makes just under 400 horsepower and just over 400 pound-feet of torque in a little family crossover like this. Fantastic. Not only that though, not only is it very powerful, it's smooth, it's quiet when you want it to be, and it's very efficient. We got, if I remember correctly, 35 miles per gallon cruising at 70 miles per hour on the highway. And then even in mixed driving, if you keep your foot out of it, this thing, remarkably fuel efficient. Now, part of that comes down to the 48 volt mild hybrid system here in the X3. Part of that is for efficiency, but also part of that is just general smoothness. When you start the engine, it simply turns on. You don't hear any of that aggressive starter or anything like that. It's a very powerful start shot almost. And then as you're coming up to a stop, right when you get going slow here, the engine shuts off, comes back to life when you get going. It's almost imperceptible. But then when you need a little bit of extra acceleration, again, it just kind of smooths out. It smooths out in between the shifts. Not that it really needs too much, because this is ZF 8-speed automatic. Very, very smooth transmission, very, very fast. I'm so thankful that we're not dealing with any sort of dual clutch, any sort of 10-speed, anything like that. Just the right amount of gears. I don't think I've ever been in a BMW a B58 powertrain here and felt that I was in the wrong gear. If I'm just cruising along like this, I step on it. It downshifts so smoothly and gets up and going. It's so great. This engine and transmission combination just feel like a luxury product through and through. But then again, if you choose the B48 inline 4, that engine's fantastic too. Still very powerful, still very smooth, still get that great 8-speed automatic. If you get a BMW here in 2026, you're most likely buying it for the powertrain. The last pro, it sounds kind of silly, but I needed a 5th pro. The destination charge, still very reasonable for this car. I've talked about destination charges here a little bit before, and if you're not familiar, there's the MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price, but then below that, every car has a destination charge as well, which is kind of just a sneaky BS way of making the price a little bit higher, because it's unavoidable. Everybody pays that, and I don't know why it's not just baked in to the MSRP. But for many cars, it's simply $995 or maybe $1,000 or something like that. In this car, it's $1,150. Still quite reasonable. But there are some vehicles, even ones that are produced here in the United States, that have destination charges $2,000, even get up to $3,000, I believe, for some of the Jeep and Ram products. So what essentially they're just making it so that they could claim a lower MSRP, but then you have $3,000 baked in on top of that you have to pay. So I appreciate that BMW, I know they build this car here in South Carolina, they still have a fairly reasonable, just over $1,000 destination price. I know that sounds silly, but to me, I see it as, okay, this company's not trying to be sneaky. They're being a little bit more straightforward. Another quick bonus pro, I suppose. The tires on here are non-run flats, and they actually take the little primary bumps pretty darn well. I've been happy with the ride quality here. Even though the tires are quite thin, they're only 35 aspect ratio. No run flats, so some people are going to appreciate that. Getting into my cons, and I'm going to do them all out on the road, even though they're pretty much all not involving the driving aspects of the X3. And the first one, by far the most dramatic con, is this audio system. I don't know what they're doing here in the X3 for this generation, but I've tested multiple Harman Kardons now in the X3, and they're bad. They really are. There's no excuse for the audio sounding like this here in a $77,000 luxury crossover. It's not like we're in a sports car. It's not like we're in an economy car, anything like that. This is an upgraded system. You should be getting upgraded sound, and it's not good. If you want to see what I mean, check the link below for our full review. I'm not going to go into all of it right here, but it really is not good. Next con, the general interior storage inside here. I get this isn't a family hauler. It's more of a car that's going to be primarily used by one person, maybe two occasional kids in the back, but there's not many places to put things here inside this cabin. There's no sunglasses holder, fairly small cup holders in here. My 32-ounce water bottle does not fit. You've got these places to put your phone and maybe one other phone there. Only one of them is a wireless charger. The center storage area, barely large enough to fit a hat, fairly small glove box, and moderately sized door pockets with at least a bottle holder in there, so that's good. But it's tough. As soon as you get some snacks, a book, some sunglasses, some phones, some water bottles, drinks, whatever, it's gonna be hard to put them all here in this cabin. So I would have appreciated a little bit more expansion of this area, maybe a little storage shelf up there for the passenger to put some things. Yes, it looks good in here, but it's not very practical or functional. Next con, the screen placement. While I appreciate how the infotainment system works, if I'm driving here, I'm 5'10", reasonably sized arms, I can't reach the screen. And you do have the center rotary knob, that's fair, but there's a lot of functionality in the screen, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, for example, that is much easier to just click up and use here with your hand. Not only that, climate controls are built into the screen, which, again, I wouldn't care as much if it weren't for the fact that I have to reach way forward, take myself out of a natural driving position in order to change the climate. So that's frustrating to me. Manufacturers do this one piece of glass here because it saves them money. They like to say, oh, it looks clean and unbroken. Everything. No, it's a cost-saving measure. And it's unfortunate because I have so many controls up there now that I need to get to. They're so far away. The last con, and any of you who own a previous generation X3 and then get into this one, I hope you'd agree with me, but it's the general cheapness inside here. Yes, it still looks cool. Yes, we've got a bunch of cool ambient lighting and good technology, and it still drives great. But this car does not feel as nice inside. The door handles, the volume knob, the components, whoops, none of it feels as nice as previous generation cars. You can tell there's cost cutting in here. Some of that is the design as well, the kind of minimalist and simplistic designs, but I could get over that if it really felt good to use, but it simply doesn't. It feels like a car that's cheaper than the one it replaces. Is it enough to be a deal breaker? I don't think so. I mean, obviously this isn't an X5, it's not an X7. I understand that BMW still has a price point to meet and that everything is getting more expensive here in the world. It's just a bit of a shame, and it's something that you'd really need to sit in and experience if you were thinking of upgrading from a previous generation X3. So, overall, I like the car. I like driving it. I do feel it's one of the best powertrains on the market here in 2026. Would I buy it? I mean, it's tough to say. I'm not a great person to ask, only because I would get a 3 Series. To me, this car is not large enough and practical enough around the cargo area and around the rear seats to get me out of a 3 Series and into this. For me, I would either be in a 3 Series or an X5. I don't like this car enough compared to the 3 Series to justify it for me. But it is priced similarly enough to a 3 Series for somebody that if you are going to utilize that rear cargo space, which is still quite practical and definitely more practical than a Macan, if you're somebody who wants to drive spiritedly, you want a fantastic driving experience, and you still need a good bit of practicality and all-wheel drive, it's a pretty good option. So with that, we should slap it on the DM Leaderboard. Current leaders on the DM Leaderboard: Kia K4, Toyota Sienna, Hyundai Ioniq 9. This is gonna go right above the Lexus TX and below the Subaru Outback. 6th place. There's it just doesn't have the wow factor for me. When I drive a 3 Series, I'm always impressed. When I drive this car, I'm impressed by the powertrain, and that's about it. Everything else, meh. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on this X3, check the link below for our Harman Kardon review and the fuel economy review. We'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.